Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching. Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Sensual Goat, Neil, Brian's Logic, Click OK, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
How are you?
I'm alright. Very tired. Other than that, I'm alright.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to have you all. Where did we get up to yesterday in the housekeeping? I do want to do a complete run of them, and there must be some that we've missed out.
Gravity.
Well, let's not do gravity again, though. We've done it 2 days in a row. Let's do any evidence.
I'm saying that's what you asked where we got them.
Yes. As in, which ones haven't we asked is what I kind of meant. And I'm going to start off with any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved surface. Very poignant, basically.
No, that's not even possible.
Well, just for the live audience, we've been discussing this in the pre-show, hence my starting with that question. Here's an elevation angle on screen for my audience, the live audience, not for Discord. It is a prerequisite flat Earth measurement. You can only get elevation, that's from the surface. Angles, that's two straight lines meeting at a vertex, if Earth is flat. It's a prerequisite for the measurement.
Well, with a curved surface, you can only measure a dip angle to the curved surface. You can't measure an elevation from it.
No, well, you'd need a flat plane for that also, though, wouldn't you, to describe the deviation from the horizontal that you're calling the curve?
Yeah, but you could make a plane of reference, let's just say. You could do that within their power line and measure a dip to that curved surface, but you can't measure an elevation.
Correct. So you can get a dip angle measurement to a curved surface in the same way you could describe a horizontal tangential to a hill and then describe the dip angle to the base below your position that you measured from. But again, you're going to need a horizontal plane of reference to axiomatically describe a depression angle. There's no difference between depression angles and elevation angles in that regard.
Within their paradigm, I'm pretty sure it's where eye level and where surface level appears to meet the sky. That is the two planes of reference that they will pull their angle from.
Well, they can't. They don't have any of them. They must hijack them from reality and then mathematically place their curved surface underneath the surface level at points below it. So as that stretches out, they place more and more points below it and further below it. But if it comes to measuring a dip angle on a spherical surface, you need to create a plane of reference, but that plane of reference won't be horizontal. So in reality, we require a horizontal plane of reference because it's not whether we require it or not. It's either horizontal or it's not. We can't measure the dip or the elevation of anything in reality without that horizontal, because horizontal and vertical, we must adhere to because they are the orientations that the world is laid out in. But if it comes to a sphere, I don't need it to be horizontal, but I do need a plane of reference made at my location and to measure a bit below that plane of reference to a curved surface. Now, that doesn't mean anything because it will do absolutely nothing for you. But the main question is, can you measure an elevation from that curved surface? And the answer is absolutely not.
Well, that's what we've got as the question from Wilco Valdez in the chat. So, ... an elevation angle cannot have a curved baseline, ? No.
Why would he think that it could?
I don't think he's implying it is. He's just saying...
No, he's being sarcastic.
I mean, these are just one of many. We've gone, I don't know, halfway through the housekeeping questions this week to elucidate each and every one of them requiring a flat plane of reference when they're asked. And there aren't any exceptions so far. Even the Molten Iron Core that I thought yesterday might not have one, it absolutely does. I can't remember who it was to credit. I think it might have been one deck. But you're going to have to create the globe to have a self-perpetuating Molten Iron Core within it. And to create the globe, you need a flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle to either Polaris or, as was just discussed, although not named per se, Al-Biruni's violation of a surface level measurement to acquire the height of a mountain with trig, to then infer, as John pointed out, that the parallel eye level and surface level with dip between them has this said violation of the surface level measurement used to acquire the height of the mountain to derive radius.
Yeah, but that doesn't work because they don't have a surface level. So what or an eye level within that power line. So the point being is that you can't, the dip between two planes of reference doesn't equate to a curved surface underneath. Do you understand what I mean?
No, it's violating.
It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it violates
no, it's not that it has no connection to it whatsoever. Because one of like you can make a plane of reference at the eye line, right? But you can't use a surface level then. You must, because there is no surface level on a sphere. You understand what I mean?
It's a contradiction in terms. Yes, you're right. We've both changed positions. So in the pre-show,
you can't use.
Exactly. You in the pre-show were in my shoes now, which is frustratingly trying to describe how I use the word violate, the base measurement of surface level for the height to then have a curved, what I'm calling violation. And you're saying, well, no, they can't have it at all. It doesn't work. It isn't sensible to describe something that requires flatness and parallel eye level, surface level, as John described, when you describe the curved surface level. The two aren't conducive with one another. Well, I'm struggling to put it into words and have therefore called it a violation. But in the pre-show, you're, attempting to try and describe how they have reciprocating zenith angles when John's saying, no, that defies the principal definition of what a zenith is. But you struggle to put these actual Earth measurements onto a ball because they don't work anymore.
Well, geometrically, you have to violate geometric terms and axioms to even try and describe how their paradigm fails geometrically.
Exactly.
When compared to reality.
Yeah, we've literally switched sides. I was doing this to you in the pre-show. That's what I was saying to you.
Yeah, because you have no choice. It's like there's certain words you can't use. You can't use the word level. Like I could make a plane of reference at the eye line, but I can't call it eye level, right? Because level doesn't exist. Because level is horizontal. Level is in the orientation of horizontal. So I can't call it level. And there is no surface level because that's not level either. It's not horizontal and it's not even flat. Within that paradigm, it's going to be curved. So all you can do is make a plane of reference at the eye line or at the theodolite or whatever nonsense, and then measure a dip angle to the curved surface. But then you can't even, like this, something I wanted to add in a minute ago, but the conversation went on. You can't then, once you've measured your dip angle, then measure an elevation above that, because your elevation you can't add on the dip to your elevation to get an elevation of a curved surface. Right, because I know people out there, ballers, I think you can do that because you're dealing with diverging, and there I am, I'm back behind the rock now, with zeniths. Because you're dealing with diverging zeniths, that means that your attempt to add on a dip angle to what you'll so you can then create an elevation above that plane of reference means nothing because you're dealing with parallel lines then, whereas they have diverging lines. So it won't even, it can just never work. None of it can ever work. It's not workable geometrically. And it's also not describable. If you're to use actual geometric terms, it's not what they're claiming is not describable. If you're talking about heights and all the rest of it, you can. And levels.
Hey, Jin, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, great to hear the voices again, because I've been looking in this server for the past couple of weeks. I haven't found anybody in here. I'm wondering what's happened. Have they abandoned the server? Okay, so it's great to hear your voices. I have got a pressing question, though, related to the Boltard's flat line and the in-flight telemetry data, in particular the pitch data. Okay, I was embroiled in a hot, heated discussion / slagging match where with some other guys on another server here who are trying to say that we are wrong about what the data is telling us. Okay, so I want to get, and I'm glad I got the two of you here. So if you can go through me that when you are ready, we can go through it. Okay.
It sounds like you've already summarised it. What the data's telling us is just what the data tells us. It's raw data from black boxes. But the problem that they have is that it doesn't comport with their sphere belief. Therefore, they need to go to a filing cabinet and say, no, gyros track around the world. No, that violates what a gyro does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Jin, how do you have...
He hasn't asked his question yet.
That was being made by a guy called...
We're there,
I
Jin.
think
You
know
asked
the
your
guy.
question.
He's AI. You know AI, don't you? AI.
I have heard of such a thing.
Right. You've heard of... No, you've heard of the character AI from the Flat Earth community. Come on.
AI Overlord.
Yeah, AI Overlord.
Overlord.
He's a member of this server. He comes in here sometimes.
Yes.
Right.
Go on, James.
Right. He seems to... Right. He's under the impression that when we look at the graph, the pitch angle, we are misinterpreting that. It's not telling us, not showing us that the plane is flying.
I just covered this.
Horizontal.
I've got to stop you. Just let me stop you again.
Yeah,
There's no interpretation.
Please go ahead.
It's just measurement data, isn't it? So when they say we're misinterpreting it, so what you're saying is it requires interpretation. It's raw data.
What can I? Sorry, guys. What was Jin's? Can he? I didn't.
I'm trying to answer it one day.
If you can let me just get out what was being put across by the other side, and in one deck would understand fully. Sorry about that one deck. I'll say it again. Basically what the AI and that and others, Globers as well, were trying to say about me being wrong about what I'm saying this graph shows. I said it shows us that the aeroplane is flying horizontally for a duration of time. You will notice that when it took off, it showed the trajectory of the plane taking off, right? So you know that the plane was climbing up to altitude. When it got to altitude, it leveled off. It flew level for a period of time, and then when it came to land, maybe 30, 40 miles from the airport destination, it starts to step down, decline. And that's what you show. So it's showing the trajectory. Right, and that proves that aeroplanes don't take a curved trajectory. That was my argument.
Yeah, and if they did,
that's not what the graph tells us.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah,
go ahead.
For a start, the person you're referencing, AI Overlord, he has been attacking the pitch data, right? And what he's calling the pitch data argument. It's not an argument, is it? There's no argument. The data shows what it shows. Right? He's been trying to attack that from day one. And the reason is because he has a personal issue with me. Right? Now, he was corrected on this by me and by Quantum Eraser. And I think a third time, I think it was at least 2 if not 3 times, and he conceded. But in the background, even after he conceded, in the background, he was trying to tell Flatsy and other people how this doesn't work, even after being corrected on it. So you can't trust that. And he's telling you or arguing with you because he has a personal problem with me, and he's attacking it because he hates me, and that's what that's about. And he wants to.
I did detect that.
Wants, Jim, right? Let's go through it geometrically. How do you have pitch on a sphere? That's step one. What's pitch in relation to? Horizontal, yeah. Your pitch is above is how much above or below horizontal. That's your pitch. Horizontal is a constant orientation. It's an orientation that cannot exist on a sphere, right? So geometrically, any claims outside of what the data actually shows, right, concerning a sphere, fail immediately geometrically because you don't have the orientations of horizontal or vertical. You don't have pitch, right? None of that works for them. But even if they want to try and argue, right, stupidity, right? Ask them about the top of the sense. Because when the plane, you see, what they have to claim, Jim, is that the horizontal is changing its own orientation in relation to itself. That's what they're actually claiming. Now, that makes no sense whatsoever. Right?
It makes no sense at all. Exactly.
Exactly. But when the plane is descending, right, now it depends on the calculation used, right? But it depends on the altitude of the plane. But if a plane is at 40,000 feet and it's coming into an airport that's 2,000 feet above sea level, right, the straightaway level, right, it needs to descend to a point where it's 1,000 feet above that airport. So that means if the point is at 40,000, has the plane at 40,000 feet, the calculation for descent will be for 37,000 feet. because they must subtract the elevation of the airport and 1,000 foot that they need to come in above the airport, and that 1,000 foot will be used for landing, right? How do you do that? Which is, we're using a right-angle triangle. How do you do that with a horizontal baseline, right, over a sphere?
You don't.
So you can. This can't be like takeoff and descent and landing. All these things are all part, and they're all part of like what's shown in the data. They're doing that. The problem is what they're trying to claim fails the minute that the pilot from 160 miles away, or sometimes 200 miles away, right, or 200 statute miles away, starts descending, right. So the descending is the hypotenuse of a right-angle triangle.
What would be called out to do that, right? So you're in your plane, you're at 20,000 feet, and you're approaching an airport, and you ask your co-pilot, can you get in touch with ground control and request for permission to what?
Land, of course.
No. Descend to flight level.
Pre-landing.
No. Just hear me out.
You're kind of
Cutting me off. You are requesting permission to descend in Brian's description to flight level 1,000 feet.
Yes, but the calculation itself, right, will have a horizontal baseline that will be congruent with the altitude of the plane, right, and how much altitude they need to descend, right, for. And that can be 200 nautical or 200 statute miles. Now that means for 200 statute miles, the earth has to be flat. There's no way around it for that to work. There's no way for them to work this. It's impossible to work when you use the calculations that the four main ones I'm aware of that are used within aviation. You cannot do that if the earth's a globe. There is no way around it. Now that is when you're descending. So are they trying to say that you're flying the curve over a curved surface until you're 150 miles away from the airport, then the earth is flat? Because that's basically, right, if you think about it,
that's exactly what I said. I said that. Yeah, I said that for the landing, because you'd be proud of me, because I stood my ground. I blew them all away, and including AI. Because he was saying I was confused. I said, no, I'm not confused. Not at all. I've been doing this for a long time.
Let me summarise both of you. Hold on, Neil and AI and Brian and Jin. Yes, in other words, if you're going to describe the pitch of the plane with respect to horizontal for ascent and descent and level flight, you axiomatically require what is seen in the measured data. So when they say you're misinterpreting it, well, no, because there's an ascent that shows the gyro twisting in its cage, and then it's showing the measurement in the black box data. And then when you reach flight level, it remains pitch up with respect to horizontal, given you from the gyro, and then you descend with respect to the horizontal back down to the sea level that you've measured in your altimeter while in level flight. Now, that's what's shown in the measurements. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes, but what they've got to tell you, you already summarised, Jin, you're misinterpreting it. No, there's no interpretation. It's measurement data. It's raw data. It shows what it shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what they're expecting? They're expecting to see, if you're flying over a globe, that the pitch angle changing exponentially, and you should see a curve.
Oh, what, like Wolfie said? What, like Wolfie lied about to his audience 8 years ago, saying that the plane does pitch down around the globe, and he showed a little model of an aeroplane doing it. Yeah, they just lie.
Yeah. Jin.
Can I just say something, Brian, after you?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Brian, then one deck. Go ahead, Brian.
What's lost? Yeah. Jin, don't confuse landing with descent, because descent happens and then landing happens.
I never do.
Hold on, Jin. Hold on.
Hang on, guys. If you say the term landing, you're not describing the whole descent process. You're just describing the landing process. That's at the end of the descent process. What I would suggest to you is research what's known as top of descent and the calculations used. You can go to my videos, as I show them there. If you go, in some of the recent videos, I have stuff in there. I even have a challenge to the ballers for descent, a descent challenge for them and their power. Right? None of them will come near it. But check that out, and they won't be able to come near you. Well, not that they can anyway. But as far as the data goes, you're not interpreting the data. It is already interpreted for you. It's not that you're looking at it and you're deciding, I think it's this or that. It is what it is.
Exactly.
Right.
Raw data.
Yeah, it's not an argument.
Exactly. They want to say, look, NTSB say that the gyros self-account for the curve. No, because then you wouldn't be able to see ascent and descent with respect to flight levels. You wouldn't be able to see takeoff and landing, although Brian's just decried it in terms of descent and ascent. And he's absolutely correct. There is no interpretation. It's raw data. They're just the measurements. Go ahead, Wanda.
Yeah. That's what I said. I told him straight that what I'm looking at is the characteristics of that flight. That's what I'm looking at here. What the plane actually did. That's what that data is telling me. Nothing else.
What my qualm is, not a qualm. I'm listening to all this. Everyone's sort of jumping in on each other and getting excited. What I'm trying to say is, I understand what the ballers say. At the moment, we've said a supposed flat earther is saying that we're interpreting it wrong. Has that flat earther, Jin, explained the correct interpretation according to him?
That's right. That was me, yeah.
No, he's asking you.
Right.
Let me just repeat your question. Hold on, Wandek. He's saying, did AI tell you what the correct interpretation according to him is?
No, he didn't. He said that the actual data, if it was on a globe, what would it look like, Jin? I said I would personally expect to see a curved data line. That's what I would expect to see.
I can answer you, AI, as you're asking Jin. If you want to know what you'd expect it to look like on a globe, go back 8 years and look at Wolfie 6020 describing the plane flying around the globe. That's what you'd expect to see. We don't. There's no interpretation about it. It's raw data measurements. But Wolfie 6020 lied through his back teeth for 8 straight years and poured scorn and ridicule on us to cover his lies.
AI Overlord has had an issue with Brian for years, and Brian hit it right in the head. He does not have an issue with it. He just has an issue with Brian. But in the same sentence, he'll say he was talking about it years ago. So there's a lot of pride going on here. The bottom line is there is no interpretation of it. It is what it is.
Well, you'd expect
I have to correct something that was said there.
You wouldn't expect to see a horizontal line, would you?
No.
No, see, this is the point. This is exactly glad you said that, because that leads exactly into the correction I want to make. AI Overlord, right? What was it said that what was it? How would it be explained on a globe or something like that? He asked you.
What would it look like? What would it look like on the graph data? What would the data look like?
It wouldn't exist. He was asking me. No, it wouldn't. Yeah, the answer is it wouldn't exist. Planes can't do that. Planes don't fly curves, they fly straight lines, no matter what. It wouldn't exist if we lived on a globe. No, we wouldn't travel via planes. We'd travel some other way. If the Earth was a globe, the planes wouldn't exist, none of this would exist. So you can't, him asking you that is asking you to come up with some crazy hypothetical nonsense, right? That wouldn't be able to exist in reality.
But we do have pitch data.
Of course.
Yeah. Because we don't live on a globe.
Exactly, Brian.
Yeah. We don't live on a globe. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. We don't live on a globe, which is what I said. I'm very quick at saying that. I let them know that. We don't live on a globe.
My question then is, everyone just stop talking over each other. The question becomes, why is AI Overlord, an alleged flat earther, asking you, a fellow flat earther, to describe to him why flat earth proof would look differently on a globe? Isn't that slightly suspicious?
Exactly.
That was my point about him, Nathan. That was my point about him.
My suspicions were answered when he said that he was trying to debunk Brian's... He was trying to debunk that, wasn't it? That's what he was trying to do. Trying to debunk Brian's logic data. That's what he was saying. That's what he said.
No debunking.
It's not my data. It's NTSB. It's not like something that belongs to me or a claim I'm making. There is no claim. The data is what it is. You know what I mean? What it is that anyone who's claiming to be a flat earther and is attacking that, you have to raise an eyebrow about.
Not only that, he lined up
Yeah.
with ballers, Jin said. He was on the show with ballers attacking the pitch data. Attacking reality? Really? Okay.
Don't forget, you're not allowed to
Yeah,
use horizontal,
because the
vertical,
ballers were there trying to
parallel,
defend it. Okay,
or
and
any of the
and
30
together with the
words.
ballers, they were saying that I was wrong. Sorry to talk over you there. My mistake. Sorry, go ahead. Apologise.
Okay, one deck.
I was just reiterating, as we've said before, you're also not allowed, as far as AI is concerned, Overlord, to use any of the 30 words. When you're stopping a glober using any of the 30 words, when they're trying to explain how Earth curve is measured using horizontal, plumb, level, perpendicular, sea level, theodolite, mariner's sextant. If you stop them in the tracks using any of these terminologies, you might find yourself being banned from the server.
I went in there for a couple of minutes yesterday. Nathan, you would have vomited at the stuff that I was hearing from AI. Finally, I came in, I said, there's no debating a measurement. What the hell are you talking about? A measurement is a measurement, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jin, when you're dealing with AI overlord, you're dealing with someone who's a potential agent. I've said this a long time ago about him, and he's only proven me correct. You can't trust that guy whatsoever. He's constantly on the manipulation. He's constantly on at manipulation. Don't trust him.
That's correct. I'll tell you what he said exactly. Yo, Brian's pitch data. Like it's Brian's pitch data. I had that argument 2 years ago. So he's contradicting himself because of his hatred for Brian.
Yeah, he never mentioned it ever, and suddenly he had the argument years beforehand. Even though I was mentioning it years beforehand, no one heard him mention it ever. And even Wolfie 6020 would attest to that. There was not a word about pitch data, from AI Overlord or anyone like that.
Yeah. You're right about what you say. You can't trust him. He's a little bit. There's a few question marks on his integrity, I'll have to say.
A few. Listen, yesterday what I heard.
Anyway, I stood my ground as I usually do. I was like a bollard, so they were just wrecking themselves on me. That's all they're doing. I wasn't moving at all. That's a fact. You can go and watch the video or the recording of it. You'll hear what I said. Because I was under the impression that data shows me exactly what the aeroplane's doing, the characteristics, and you can see it clearly. You can see clearly what the plane did. It shows me that. Not misinterpreting it at all.
You're interpreting it wrong, really, really. That shit heats me, man.
Jim, that horizontal line was obviously curved.
I love it. Because I said to them, what you just said there, I said, a curved line and a straight line are both two different things. They're not the same. So you can't say a curved line is level. You can't follow a curved trajectory and say you're flying level. Stupid asses.
Jen, if you would have went in there and you would have... Sorry, go ahead. Whoever, go ahead.
Go on.
No, I'm just going to say, I'm going to be quick. If you would have went in there and you would have started talking about, what do you call that? What they use, the laser, they would have full on welcomed you to speak about the laser test. But because you went in there speaking about pitch data, it's directly connected to flat earth debate, Brian. They are going to resist, and they will even line up with Globers to resist it.
Well,
the pitch data.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Didn't like that at all. That was a very horrible feeling when you got AI, aligning with the Globers, and stating that I am misinterpreting the flight data incorrectly. And I said, no, I'm not. No, we don't live on a globe, right? So that data shows me we're living on a horizontal flat Earth, and that's a linear straight flight, except for when it takes off and lands. And the landing procedure versus the takeoff procedure has to be different, because when the plane is climbing up for altitude, you notice a steep angle there. Now, when it's coming to land, it can't very well do the same steep angle to land because the passengers would be very uncomfortable in their seats. Their seatbelts would be grabbing their stomach. Everybody would be leaning forward. So it has to be a gentle down approach when they're approaching this airport from a few hundred miles out. That's what I said.
You're actually, as much as you're correct, you're over-egging the pudding, Jin. You don't need to do what you've done. It is what is on the data. You don't need to say, well, if the flight level at 20,000 feet was above a sphere, then it'd be a longer distance. It'd be a greater... You don't need to do anything. It is what... Brian said this already 5 times. It is what it is. You don't have to like it. Now, you can go to the filing cabinets and say, nah, the NTSB suggests that we're auto-correcting these gyros. No, when they do, you see it in the pitch data.
Yeah. It's just that I feel that you have to kind of, you know what it is? I'm trapped because I have to give a graphic kind of like explanation because these guys are acting like they don't understand the data. So what do? You've got to try and you have to be the plane and explain how the plane flies. That's what happens. What can you do?
Jim, here, I have two things. One, of course, the question: how would you have pitch on a sphere? You don't have any horizontal frame of reference. You can't. You don't have anything, you don't have it. There's no way to have pitch on a sphere. So
no, because it's spherical, isn't it? Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
No, that's a great way to end
the reference that you're using for pitch, which is horizontal, that has to be parallel. That has to translate to the Earth's surface, right? Has to translate to mean sea level. So that's why it works. You can't have a series of changing straight lines and pitch above them. That doesn't work. You don't have pitch. It doesn't exist at that point.
So what do you have?
The other thing...
So what do you have in the pitch data? Well, you've got altitude for flight level, and you've got surface level describing the altitude from it. These are in the measurements. So what are you going to interpret? Oh, well, surface level's curved. No, because then you'd see things deviating. But again, I'm over-egging the pudding. I don't need to say any of this. It is what it is. They don't have to like it.
Have to. You're compelled. When you're being shot at from several angles, you have to then... And remember, this is going out live to a live stream as well. So I'm always considering the listeners. So then I do feel that I have to explain it. So at least the listeners know my position and what this plane actually does when what we're learning from the data, because they probably can't see what we're talking about.
Oh, then put it on there.
So that's why I do that.
Put the onus on them.
But
then you put the onus on them. So you want to deny these measurements. They use these to study death when people crash planes. You're denying these measurements. And that's how I phrase it. And what kind of reaction do I get? Well, I get fugly Dave McKeegan who can't cope with his own tripod suggesting that the filing cabinet says... Yeah, I don't care. The data's what it is when you're studying life and death. Crashes.
I like
exactly. This is when it comes to conversation.
My God, everybody's talking to each other because Jin's here.
Sorry.
No, but I like what Brian said because it ends right there. You can't have any pitch on the globe. So what are we arguing about here? We do have pitch data, though.
Jin, but I have to go there and grab a shower and stuff. But before I go, the reason you're being attacked on that is because you're making the server irrelevant, technically, because what you're doing is ending the argument. There's no more gray area when you bring something like the flight data. There's no more gray area. You show what it is, that's it. And because of that, they don't want that. They don't want that over there. They want to keep this argument going for absolutely no good reason. But you're trying to end it. And the people that are supposed to be on your side are against you because they don't want that to end. They want to keep it going. You know what I mean? You're going, it's either black or it's white. They're going, well, it could be a bit grey. No, it can't. It can either be one or the other. And the data tells us which one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been the game the whole time. The game has been creating the impression that there's a debate. There isn't one. Earth's measured flat. There is no debate about it. Well, what if we go and have a look at this document where they say that it isn't? But the measurements show that it is by way of measurement. Yeah, but what if you're interpreting the measurements wrong? Not, they're just measurements. In this case, life and death measurements. Yeah, but according to this filing cabinet, you're like, okay, so you're creating a grey area, like Brian says, because you don't like the measurements that are flat. That's basically the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. You're creating a grey area. That's
No
exactly what they're
debating
doing.
measurements. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
A measurement is a measurement.
Anyway, okay, and the CBR one, vocal blast. And I was like a bollard. I ain't moving from this position. Sorry. I haven't got this far to be told I'm misinterpreting the graph. You're out of your mind.
It is what it is.
You know.
Surface level's there, height above it's there, it's parallel. When they call it out from air traffic control, they're calling out what flight level you go to. They're telling you what flight level to descend to. They're levels. They're measured off the ground level.
And then they try to make out, right, that the plane's not flying level anyway because it's nosed up. He said 2 degrees. This would be the globe. I said, no, actually, it's 3 degrees. It's an industry standard. And when you hear the pilots, they say they fly a leveled flight. And the reason for the nose up is so that the airflow flows across the aeroplane to maintain lift smoothly for the passengers.
Precisely.
For if the pilot was to fly at 0 degrees level now, then it'd be buffeting. The pilot would have a hard time trying to keep it there. So you put it at 3 degrees up, the wings are level anyway, and you've got smooth airflow, everybody's happy. That's all it is. So don't be silly, it's still a leveled flight.
Well, that was Brian's paper before this all came to a head with the pitch data. Brian's specific argument was about the lift effect.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. I know. That's why I gave it to him straight in the head.
Sorry, Jim.
That 3 degrees is an industry standard. Sorry, Brian.
You can understand having these stupid conversations and arguments with anti-flat earthers and globers, but when you're talking to supposedly fellow flat earthers, people who know the earth is measured flat, and they're going against this proof and evidence, that's worrying.
That's the key word you said, supposedly.
Disconcerting, isn't it? And worrying, yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Word, supposed flat earthers. I don't trust any of them. I don't think they are any. I don't know anybody is anymore. As far as I'm concerned.
And then the funny thing is,
that guy's an agent.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, right, shortly after that, I gave them a very rare treat of showing them my kids, you know, one picture of my kids. Then I showed them about 1 or 2 other pictures of me climbing up on a mountain bike, you know, mountain bike trekking in the snow, okay, and a few other pictures, and we're talking about it. AI comes in, moans about it's a flat earth server. I was, okay. And suddenly I disappeared from the server and ended up somewhere where, what happened? It was like I was kicked out, right? And I get back in and my pictures, I was going to delete them anyway, were deleted already. Because I don't leave them up on the Discord. I always take them down. It's just to show them, you know, parts of my life. They've heard me a lot. No one knows what I'm really like, but here's some photographs, my family, blah, blah, blah. Because we had a quiet moment and we talked about family and that. You know? And the AI comes in. And then you know what? When I came back in, he's talking about profanity subjects. So I just left. I went, I'm out of here. You know, I mean, I don't listen to this shit. You know, you prefer to listen to this than family values. You're talking profanity, are you? I just left.
He's a very
odd. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Neil.
Sorry, Neil, go ahead.
I didn't say anything. He's a vulgar guy. We know that.
But back to that data. If you've got the data that we can look at, showing you the pitch and the altitude, the actual data that we've got, and just poke that on, push it across the table under AI's nose, and like you know,
I did.
We'll have to say, there's the data.
We didn't hear the end of what you said, Rodek. Please, Jin, just refrain from cutting people off. It means we can't hear them. We can only have one line open at once. So if you agree with him in the middle of his statement, we can't hear him. Try one more time, Rodek.
Yeah, I was saying just push the document under his nose, let him have a look at it, and then if he's got any qualms, ask him to explain how that supposedly has got nothing to do with flying over a flat level plane. You point out where telling us it's not happening.
Yes.
I'm done.
Yeah, cheers for that. Yeah, you broke up a little bit for me, and I apologize for cutting you off there accidentally. But yeah, I did that anyway. I put the data up his nose, really, and I explained what I saw, and that was it for me.
But we're talking about measurements, and we're talking about arguing with fellow flat earthers about said measurements, and how we as flat earthers are just looking at the measurements and suddenly we have to reinterpret them. No, we don't. But it's very shilly that we should be told to by fellow flat earthers. Very shilly indeed.
Well, my question is, would they be resisting it, let's say, if it came from Earth Awakenings or somewhere else? It's because it's coming from here and certain people here. We're all alone.
That doesn't change the data. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. The data is the data. I don't know what you're saying, Neil, but yeah, it's data. It's not our data. It's not the Land of Misfit Toys 1 data. It's the data from the aeroplane, which shows clearly that the plane is flying over a horizontal plane.
So they were fighting against NTSB. So they weren't even fighting against you, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's the and I did state that as well. That it's not actually my data. This is the data from the box. You're arguing with the black box, which is actually an orange box, by the way, residing at the tail end of the plane. Yeah, because the tail end of the plane seems to survive crashes more so than the rest of the main parts. So you're arguing with them. You're not arguing with me as such. And I've noticed as well that they, time to time, they do try to create divide between you and them, this server in particular and them. But I'm in the middle. I said, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not here to create division. I go to that server. I love the people in there. I'll always be going in there. And I've been in this one a long time. So if anybody doesn't want me to be in the server, let me hear it now. Okay, because I'm here. I should be a mod, by the way. The length of time I've spent here, I should be a mod, by the way. So bear that in mind.
Are you talking about
I might
here
be seeking
or
mod
there?
status. No, in the Flat Earth 24/7.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah. No, I don't really want it, you know what I mean? But I let them know that I put in enough that I could be a mod by that. And I'm 63. And I'm very articulate. I'm not stupid, yeah? So bear that in mind, you know what I mean? Because I'm a realist. If I don't like somebody, I'll tell you straight away right where you sit. Not hiding. You can see my face. That shows you that I'm a man who's serious. Carry pride, integrity. You will know me. And that's what I'm about. I'm not about pretending here. So you don't like somebody, you go and tell them you don't like them. Bloody arse. So that's what annoys me, you see. That they try to create division. Bloody idiots.
Well, you went there with pitch data, very excited with this flat Earth proof, right? And you got shot down.
Yeah. Please bear in mind, Neil, I've been shoving that up their nose from last year when it came out. When you guys did that, I was there as well. When that video, from that day, I've been hammering the Earth Awakenings, Medicinal Mass Media, Gem Panda, 24/7. And I said to them, I don't want to hear a single flat earther lose a battle over flights over the Earth. Don't want to, this data has been painstakingly put together. Start using it. And I bombard them for months, right up until October last year. And then I was kicked off of Discord. I returned in January this year, and I carried on with the same. So no, I value this particular Bull-Targe flatline, value it big time. So yeah, I stood for it right up there, put my life right on the line. Bang. That's me.
But the summary is, it doesn't matter if they like it, they don't have to like it. And it makes no difference if they say you're in requirement of reinterpretation of this data. The data will not change because Earth Awakenings feel that it's being misinterpreted by you. It is what it is, and nothing's going to change regardless of how they feel that there's a debate to have about raw, flat Earth measurements. There isn't.
Yeah. So since that failed, right, that I didn't move and I wasn't conceding in any way, shape or form, they went on to talk about 24-hour sun and crap like that. And I just said the sun doesn't put the shape of the Earth. Sorry. I'm not having any of that either.
No, I don't know about that either. I mean, what they want to suggest is that the argument about whether or not the sun remains above the horizontal for a 24-hour period is what you're saying, the sun won't prove whether or not Earth is flat, and I'd agree with you. But for the fact that Dave McKeegan, as an example, as we're talking about him, measured Earth flat for 24 hours in Antarctica, he couldn't quite get his tripod to work, or he would have done. But he is still measuring Earth flat with an elevation angle off surface level to the sun for however limited a period he could figure out to get a tripod working. Now, they want to make that argument about something that it isn't. They want to make that argument about the sun being in Antarctica above the plane for a 24-hour period and why that would be. Well, who cares? The measurements of that sun are flat. That's how they measure it. Earth's measured flat. We checked. They checked. Everyone checked. That's how it's measured.
That's it. So that was me. I'm glad to find you guys in here. I thought, good timing. Let me get this question out quickly because I defended it to the hilts. Okay, but could we be wrong? I was thinking. So let me just check with the guys here, and we're not wrong. Brilliant. That's it.
Well done.
Not that we're not wrong. It's the pitch date is correct.
Bloody hellfire. Go ahead, one deck.
I was just saying, well done, Jin. And me and Jin have been in that server many a time, haven't we, mate? Battling it out with some of the server members and the Globers. So we've stood toe to toe some days and nights, haven't we, mate? And so
we have.
Well done, anyway.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Nice one. Yeah.
No amount of alleged debate will change that data. Earth is measured flat, and in the pre-show, Brian was pointing out that this suggestion of debate is part of the game. It doesn't matter if you accept it. It doesn't matter if you suddenly turn around and go, oh, I understand now that we're measuring Earth flat as per these measurements of Earth being flat. It doesn't matter if you understand it. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter if you suggest it should be reinterpreted. It is measured flat.
Right. Now, yesterday again, or was it the day before yesterday, in the 24/7, a couple of characters were saying that you can't use aeroplanes as a measuring tool. Now, I say I do. I use an airplane as a measuring tool because it's distance over time, drop over distance. Where's the curvature over a period of time?
Let me get it straight.
So you can use an aeroplane.
They're saying...
And I do.
Hold on, let me just get it straight, Jin. So, something that fundamentally requires accurate measurements to not kill people, you can't use as a flat earther? I see. So it's only the case that the pilots avoiding causing death can measure Earth flat. Yeah, that's fine by me. Yeah, the pilots can use the flat Earth measurements to not kill people. Yeah, but you can't to prove it's flat. It just is flat, Jin. Again, it's back to the same thing I said 10 seconds ago. It doesn't matter if they like it. We are measuring. Otherwise, how do we fly? Yeah, we need accurate measurements when we fly, otherwise we end up killing people regularly on every single flight. But for the fact that we have accurate measurements, we don't kill people. When we do, what do we look at when we investigate why people died on an aircraft? We look at oh no, we can't use them, we wouldn't want to use measurements, that would be unfair to the globe. No, they just go to the measurements, don't they, Jin?
Yeah, you've got to go to the measurements. That's where they're at. You've got to measure, and it's measured flat.
Yeah,
that's silly. That's what I mean. How can you not? I've been saying that I use an aeroplane to measure the Earth for 10 years, right? And it was only 2 days ago that someone was trying to push back and say, they wasn't actually talking to me directly, okay? But I was there listening, and I heard them say you can't use aeroplanes to measure the Earth as a measuring tool. I thought, no, that's wrong. Of course you can, and I do, and I will. Yeah, so they're trying to shoot down my arguments.
You can't use planes for measuring Earth. I mean, when they smash into the Earth, how dare you suggest that measurements should be used? What a bunch of crap!
I mean, I think they prefer to use sticks and shadows using the surface of the Earth for elevation angles. That's what they prefer to do, especially the Earth.
Yeah, but when you now that you mentioned that.
Well, I'm just going to reiterate what one deck saying before you do, Jin, which is to say, I mean, if you don't want to use the plane that you travelled to Antarctica in when travelling south, that's a horizontal direction, you can measure Earth flat for a 24-hour period with an elevation angle above the surface level, like on screen now. This is an elevation angle measurement, like Fugly Dave McKeegan made for 24 hours when he travelled south, that's a flat Earth direction, for a certain amount of miles, that's horizontal linear distance measurement. And when he got there, I mean, he couldn't quite cope with setting up his own bleeding tripod, but the limitations of his fugly idiocy led him to still measure Earth flat for a limited amount of time. And how did he do it? Well, he did it with a flat Earth elevation angle measurement to the sun off surface level, like this on screen. Or this. These aren't my diagrams, by the way. This is just how Earth is measured flat by everyone, including but not limited to Dave McKeegan and Simon Dan, Al Baruni, anybody else who uses an elevation angle.
Exactly.
So wait a second. If you're flying in a plane to go to California and you're leveling off at 30,000 feet for a few hours, I can't use that as a measurement? What's
The
going
pilots
on here?
It's only the pilots that are allowed to use flat Earth measurements to remain in straight and level flight, Neil.
Yes, it was an outrageous statement. I thought, no, I'm going to carry on the way I operate. And as an engineer, it was a perfect example of you thinking out of the box, because an aeroplane is a measuring tool, as far as I'm concerned, especially when you're talking about trying to be living on a globe.
It's covered in them.
The ideal tool, in fact.
It is a whole raft of measuring tools available to the pilot in the cockpit, and some of them have redundancy.
Yeah. So for the most part, when I'm in the 24/7, 95% of the time, I'm having a great time with it. We're going well. It's the little 5% we get these little needly things that pop up. Can't use an aeroplane for measuring tool. The telemetry data is all wrong. That kind of thing creeps up now and again. And I don't like that when that happens as such. But I stand my ground. That's the thing. I'm not conceding anywhere. Never will.
And you don't need to. Not in this regard.
Yeah.
The best they've got to tell you is that you're misinterpreting it or that you can't use it. Why is that? Because it's proving Earth's flat. Yeah, it is. That's how it's being measured. I mean, if they couldn't, they wouldn't be able to investigate hitting the ground when not in level flight.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm always having to draw their attention to it. Whenever the discussion of flights and I drop that telemetry data, I'm always having to, whoever's debating it on the flat earther side, I say, look, can you draw their attention to the telemetry data that I dropped in? Because that just irons it out. It levels it out completely. So please draw their attention to it and use it. Yeah, I do that. I do that. Make sure they use it because it is valuable data. And they're trying to dismiss it. I'm not going to allow them to do that. That's for sure. Yeah, because I'm not beyond shouting down a flat earther into his corner. So you want to get silly with me, you won't last. I'll end up getting banned.
Jim, now go back and say you came to us, you checked, and everything is copacetic.
He didn't need that. Double checking isn't checking, right? He didn't check with us. He knew. And he stood his ground. He's just going, this is what happened. He's telling us what happened. He's not double checking. He's not checking. He knew. Didn't you, Jin?
No, you just told us how he came here to check.
No, he didn't. He didn't need
I
to
just
check with us. He's just giving me material.
That we are not wrong in what we're saying. I did want to do that, yes. And you've confirmed it immediately. You confirmed it in the first 60 seconds. So there you are.
Yeah, you're helping me produce a show that's interesting for people to listen to reiterate these points that are indisputable.
Yeah. Empirical evidence.
Yeah, it is.
Can't really,
exactly. They're saying you can't use empirical evidence, which is measurements in this instance. They're saying you can't. Why? Well, because they're flat. That's why. There's only one reason.
That's right. They're flat, and they're not subject to anyone's disapproval at the end of the day. Because it is what it is. You take it to a court of law, which you mentioned earlier. This is what decides whether or not those who may have died or who may have been injured in an aircraft crash determines whether they get a compensation or not.
Exactly.
This is what they use. This data is valuable.
Yeah.
Key. Yeah.
Exactly. And the terminology itself is self-explanatory when you're talking about remaining in level flight, ascending to certain flight levels, your height off sea level, elevation, all of these axiomatic principles are what the plane is measuring so that they don't kill people. It is that simple.
Yeah.
You can't use that as a measurement.
Right.
I don't need to. The pilots do so that they don't kill people when they fly over the flat Earth that they're measuring. But I don't need to use them. No, you're right. I'm not a pilot. I mean, I could be someone like Wolfie and just lie through my back teeth. Didn't you, Wolfie, you complete shyster, with your little toy aeroplane? No, it'd be showing that in the pitch data, wouldn't you, you lying little shit? But you lied about it for 8 straight years, didn't you, Wolfie? Because you needed to believe you're on a ball. You had to lie about it. Yeah, well, we've got the measurements. Earth's flat. We checked.
Well, the troubling thing is, Jim's not coming here saying he was at Gem Pandas and, was facing hostile people when he brought up pitch data. This happened on a 24/7 Flat Earth debate show. Very troubling.
Well, they're going to control the opposition, Neil. If you're going to have the game rigged in such a way that the perception of there being a debate is the only way to keep this momentum of a ball alive, then you need people on the inside to pretend to be flat earthers to keep the argument going when there isn't an argument. So when you say, well, they want, because Brian's undermining them, to keep the debate alive because it kills the server. No, it's not the server it kills the globe paradigm when you end the argument. When you point out, like on screen now, you require surface level be measured. You require eye level be axiomatically parallel with it. You require zeniths and zenith distances to be horizontal. All of these principles of axiomatic flat Earth measurement hold true when we measure Earth. It is that simple, and there's no exception to it. Even if you want to believe you're on a ball, you still have to require surface level. Axiomatically, eye level must be parallel with it. None of these change when you become a baller. That's the problem. So what do you have to do? Create the impression that there's a debate when there isn't one. There's no debate. Earth's measured flat. There's no exceptions.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that, because it didn't make any sense why they want to keep the argument going, because it would end the show. It doesn't end the show. It just gives us an upper hand. Finally, right? We have the upper hand, and we could talk about this forever.
Well, you can't even say
said makes sense to have control the opposition.
You can't even say we won, because there wasn't a win or lose to be had. Earth was just measured flat the whole time. So again, to say, oh well, we win as flat earthers. No. Everyone was always measuring Earth flat, and nothing changes. When people say, well, how different will life be? When I appreciate if you are right, creating the impression that there's an argument, that Earth is flat. Answer, no, there wasn't any debate about it. Earth will still and always was being measured flat anyway, and still is after you find that out. Now, when you look into it a bit further, your bull belief was based on those flat Earth measurements. So does it make any difference? No, Earth was, is, and always will be measured flat regardless of you knowing that.
Yeah, but I think Neil is referring to the flat earthers on the public stage where we are always being ridiculed and that, right? It gives us the upper hand, because we're now proving what we're saying is true by the evidence that we bring forward, which is proof. That's what Neil is referring to, I think.
No debunking the globe, having the upper hand with measurements. That's all.
I tell you what,
no wins here.
Go on, John. Hold on.
Nice. It's nice to be able to say that not only is your position the correct position, but your opponent can no longer put their position forward without submitting to your position first.
Yeah, they need to accept. Yeah. That's what I call the rock and the hard place. It is a derivation of John's original position. John was the originator of me developing the rock and the hard place argument. And John's position was, I will concede to all of your positions. That's the Glober position. You go, well, that sounds devastating for you as a flat earther. No. John understands fundamentally, I'm sorry to speak in the third person about you, John, that they need a flat earth more than we do. So every one of their positions will hang on a flat earth before they can assert it. So we can concede to all of their positions because they ultimately require a flat earth to have them.
Yeah.
Right.
They eventually concede to ours. Flat.
Yeah.
Mr. Cheswick says he sent me an email in the chat, so just one sec. Mr. Cheswick says, I've just sent you an email at AOL address, just a little teaser of what's coming up for the Globers. Ha ha ha. I'll have a little look. Can't actually see anything from you, Mr. Cheswick, but it could just be my email taking a while to update. Anyway, anything else anybody wants to add before we round out the live show?
Yeah, I was just going to say, for the most part, though, the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord operates on the highest standards possible most of the time, and that's a good 99.99% of the time. Because when the Globers do come into that server, they are held to the highest standard, and they've got to prove their mustard. Okay, that's a fact. That's what I've experienced in all the years that I've been there. There's been one or two incidences, like I've mentioned, where miscommunication between certain characters, but outside of that, it's got the standard that you adhere to here is being met the same in the 24/7. So let's not get that mixed up in any way, shape, or form. They do operate under a very high standard themselves. Yeah, I just don't like
when
the
I went
division.
there yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I just don't like the division. That I don't see why 24/7 cannot get on with FED. We're the same people at the end of the day.
We don't need to.
So
we don't need to get on with them. It makes no difference. Again, this is back to Brian's point in the beginning of this live show. Don't matter what you don't like us. It doesn't matter. Earth's still measured flat. Oh, we don't get on with the 24/7 Discord server. It doesn't matter. Earth's still measured flat.
Yeah, that's the main point there.
We don't need their approval. Is the
it's
point.
Not everybody in the server. One or two characters have made their disapproval of the certain characters in this server. But like I've always said, I don't understand the reason for it. We're all flat earthers at the end of the day, and we need each other anyway. I'll always be advocating for that for as long as I live.
I understand what you're saying, Jim, because there are a couple of guys now, and yesterday immediately they said, "What's up to me?" And I know the guys. There's people in there that are legit. But there's also people in there that are very shady.
Yeah, because there are some legit people. That's what I'm saying. And I've always had a good time of it anyway. That's me. Even when it gets a bit everywhere, I'm put under pressure for my position. But I'm fighting like a gorilla and a lion mixed. Okay, I'm not very nice when it comes to that. Sorry.
I've tried to download. I tend to get. Hold on 1 second, John. Just for Mr. Cheswick's benefit, I'm trying to download what you've downloaded. I'm just struggling to do it. And if I did, I'd get it on my iPad. I don't tend to look at my emails on my computer that I'm streaming with. So at a pinch, I can't get it up for whatever reason because you've sent it me as a download. But I'm sure it'll come out on your channel and I will plug it. So if you subscribe to Mr. Cheswick, he's there in the chat floating on by as we speak. You can keep up to date with his CGI renderings of Simon Dan and most recently Dell I watched yesterday that was had me in pieces. Very funny indeed. But yeah, so check out Mr. Cheswick. He's, as I say, floating his way by in the chat. Just right click on his icon and it'll take you to his channel. Yeah, John.
I was just going to say there's really no need to even fight for your position. They have to take it too. It is the default because of measurement. You don't have to argue with them ever.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. But I like to defend my position always. The listeners know.
I can actually play it just audio-wise. Just 1 second.
Oh, where's the guns, Nathan? In this Antarctic abyss.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a CGI McToon saying that. I just can't play it from my iPad on the computer. But yes, very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Cheswick. Any more for any more? No? Okay, well, with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Hit me up on PayPal, Patreon, hit the thanks button, all that good stuff. Obviously, another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. Not come all this distance just for you to take the piss.